coverings for a while now, and I've gotten a few questions about them, and they were a super cheap and easy DIY project. So obviously an alternative to having window coverings could easily be to tint your windows, but I personally prefer to have tintless windows, so these have been a really good compromise. And I think even if you have tinted windows, these could be a great asset for your van. Primarily, I use these when I'm going to shower or change, or if I'm trying to be stealthy and urban camp, and then they also help moderate the temperature. And I definitely plan on insulating the van. It just kind of hasn't happened yet. So in the meantime, these have done a great job of keeping the space comfortable. When it comes to window coverings, I've seen a couple of variations of these, some with fabric on the inside, some fabric on the outside or on both sides, and the use of magnets and Velcro. There are literally tons of ways to make these. The only thing that I would note is that, from my understanding anyways, in order for Reflectix to work properly, you don't want to cover both sides. So on mine, I covered the outside and then the inside is still this, and even though I'm not a big fan of the silver bubbly-ish whatever it looks like, I left it. So this is just going to be a quick how-to on how I made these specific ones.
To start, the supplies I needed were Reflectix, scissors, and a Sharpie. Step 1 is just going to be to cut the Reflectix to size. And of course you can use a tape measure if you want, but I didn't find it difficult to just hold it up and guesstimate. Once it was cut roughly to size, I would take my Reflectix piece and just sort of stuff it into the edges and trim away the excess. And then stuff some more and trim some more until it fit nice and snug like this. When I got it to fit the way I want, I would take the Sharpie and line the area where it creases. This is obviously optional, but in step 3 and 4, I'm going to cut a little bit closer to that line, and I didn't want to risk cutting the window covering too short, so I definitely needed something to guide me. Then I simply repeated this process for every window. When there were multiple windows of the same size and shape, I would just use the finished one as a template. However, I still found that I had to do some trim. For step 2, you just need a fabric of your choice, spray adhesive, and your cutouts. I also used a mask. I laid out the fabric on the ground and proceeded to situate the cutouts in a way that they fit best. Then I got started on spraying the adhesive on the cutouts. I'd let them sit for a few seconds, and once the glue felt tacky, I'd flip the window covering over, press down, and set something with decent weight on top of it.
So I sprayed the adhesive on the Reflectix and then flipped them over and put them on to the black fabric, and I let it sit overnight, and now I'm just gonna cut them out.
So this is where I cut the Reflectix closer to that black line. The less material you have past that line, the easier they are to stuff in the windows. However, I didn't want to overdo it, so I still stayed a little behind it.
I have just finished cutting all of these out and trimming them up. There they are, and I'm just gonna do one more thing before I put them on the van and show you guys what it looks like.
So lastly, step 4 is just to double check their fitting and trim more if need be. And here is the finished product.
Literally can't see nothing.
So that is how I made these window coverings. Nothing fancy or super crafty, and honestly it's kind of why I like them so much. Simple is good, and they work great. From the outside it just looks like I have tinted windows. When you get super close you can kind of tell, but even then not really. And for sure, these are not 100% necessary, especially if you opt for tinted windows, but in my situation, they've been perfect. They've done everything that I wanted them to, and on top of that, they were cheap and they were easy to make. And with that, I wish you guys safe travels, and I will see you next time.